Start recording. Camera chooser. Back facing. Button. Camera chooser. Back facing. Camera chooser. Front facing. Button.
Hey guys. Welcome to Jordan Unboxing Reviews. So the YouTube app, the voiceover is coming through here. There. Which is annoying. But it's a bug with YouTube. So I blame them. Stupid idiots. And I'm not waiting another week for an update, so... Alexa, coronavirus news.
Jordan, here's what's new. From BBC News.
Hello, I'm James Hand and this is BBC News. You've got a higher chance than ever of being tested for coronavirus.
We're going to expand it essentially by almost 10 times so that we get more detailed information about where the virus is taking root.
The Health Secretary Matt Hancock says 150,000 randomly selected people will be tested every fortnight by October to see where the biggest outbreaks in the country are. It's a separate scheme to the existing tests to see if you've got symptoms of the disease. Meanwhile, there's pressure on the government to lift the limit on the number of people who can study medicine in England. It's after changes to A-level results this week left it unclear who'll be going to uni next month. Universities say they won't be able to let in all the people who want to be doctors if the government doesn't give them more support. The cost of your train ticket could be about to rise. It's after inflation went up to 1% in July. That was because things like petrol and clothing increased in price. Inflation's up from 0.6% in June, although the Bank of England is expecting it to fall again soon. Elsewhere, Joe Biden's wife says he'll bring the country together when he challenges Donald Trump in this year's US presidential election.
If we entrust this nation to Joe, he will do for your family what he did for ours.
He's officially been confirmed as the Democrats' candidate at the polls on November the 3rd. Former Presidents Clinton and Carter also spoke out in his favour. Train stations across the UK are falling silent this morning to mark 1 week since 3 people died in a crash in Aberdeenshire. You're being encouraged to observe 1 minute's silence at the time the crash was reported. The boss of Scotland's Railways says his company's hearts remain broken. And the music magazine NME has started a website focusing on music in Singapore. It'll also look at artists from Malaysia and the Philippines and wants to deliver a fresh approach to the Southeast Asian music scene. NME stopped publishing its weekly magazine here in the UK 2 years ago. And that is the latest BBC News. You might as well give our interactive version a go, though. You can wake your smart speaker back up and just say play BBC News and check back later for another update.
In weather, in Bath, it's 16 degrees Celsius with showers. Today, you can expect rainy weather, with a high of 20 degrees and a low of 12 degrees. That's all for now.
Alexa, how many weeks until the 1st of September?
The 1st of September 2020 is in 2 weeks.
No. It's 1 now. Alexa, how many weeks until the 1st of September?
The 1st of September 2020 is in 2 weeks.
No, you idiot. 1. Alexa, BBC News.
Good morning, this is BBC News and I'm Adam Pasternicki. On the way, Leicester eases up a bit more. There's been a coup in Mali, but we start with calls to make sure more people can study medicine after the A-levels change. There's pressure on the government to make more places available to study medicine in England after the Education Secretary's U-turn on A-level results. Teachers' estimates of pupils' grades were allowed after an algorithm which was used to predict pupils' grades after the pandemic cancelled exams was used, reducing 40% of all marks. Although the overall cap on university places was lifted, places at medical school have stayed scarce because the cost of training doctors is more than the fees paid. Our education correspondent Dan Johnson can explain if you do this.
Say Alexa, more from the BBC.
Nail bars, beauty salons and tanning booths in Leicester can reopen from today as part of the latest easing of the city's local lockdown. There has been a fall in the number of cases of coronavirus in the city, but ministers say, though, that the rate of infection is not low enough to lift restrictions on meeting in other people's homes or their gardens. Joe Biden has officially become the Democratic Party's candidate to replace Donald Trump in this year's US presidential elections. Two former Democrat presidents, Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton, both told the party's mainly online convention that it's essential Donald Trump is beaten in November.
At a time like this, the Oval Office should be a command center. Instead, it's a storm center. There's only chaos. Just one thing never changes: his determination to deny responsibility and shift the blame. The buck never stops there.
This is the third time Joe Biden has tried to become his party's nominee, and a remarkable turnaround for the 77-year-old whose campaign looked dead and buried before he gained momentum and then became the frontrunner after a number of other candidates pulled out and endorsed him earlier this year. The stock market in the US is close to record highs despite the economic devastation caused by the pandemic. The Nasdaq hit a new high. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is close to its highest ever, and the S&P 500, one of the widest and most prominent US market measures, got to a level it's never been before, just under 3,400 points. At the start of this crisis, it was at 2,000 points. So what's going on? Our reporter Will Bain can explain for you if you do this.
Say Alexa, more from the BBC.
There's been a coup in Mali. The country's president and its prime minister have been detained by troops. The president's been on TV saying he's resigned and dissolved the government and parliament. Here's how some people have reacted to the news.
The whole of Mali has been liberated by a Republican force. The Malian people support them from above and from below. We are really very, very happy. There is no education, there is no health, there is no security. He does not want to listen to these people.
He is never going to stay in power. Even if the men accept it, we women are never going to accept it. He has been cursed by the good Lord, which is why the military stood up today, because what he has done is not normal.
President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta said he didn't want any blood spilled to keep him in power. Mali has been politically unstable for a while and had another coup 8 years ago. France has troops in the country to try to prevent extremists taking over its former colony. The EU and African Union have condemned what's happening there. If you'd like an explainer from our Africa editor Will Ross, you can do this.
Say Alexa, more the BBC.
A scientific mission in the Atlantic Ocean has found a vast amount of plastic in the water. It's 10 times what was previously thought to be there. There is at least 12 million tonnes, possibly as much as 21 million tonnes based on this research in the upper waters of the ocean. One of the authors of this report is Katya Babort-Sava from the National Oceanography Centre in Southampton.
Microplastics are very tiny pieces of plastics. Some of them are produced in a very small size range. And when we talk about size range of microplastics, they can be as much smaller than the diameter of human hair, and they can reach up to about the size of a rice grain. So those type of plastics can be produced deliberately in that small size range, and they can be used in cosmetics, for example. Some of them can be used in toothpaste, for instance, as well. But other types of microplastics are the products of large plastic bits breaking down into smaller pieces. Wind or sun, or if a big plastic item gets into the environment, basically.
This measured just the top 200 metres of water, the most shallow 5%, and the amount of plastic is equivalent to 1,000 fully packed container ships. And there's one piece of waste that's more common than any other at the moment, according to Susanna Bleakley, who organises beach cleanups.
The disposable mask is now more pervasive than ever. We find more disposable masks than plastic bags on beaches.
The actor Ben Cross, best known for playing the athlete Harold Abrahams in the 1981 film Chariots of Fire, has died at the age of 72. It won 4 Oscars, including one for Best Score. His family say he died after a short illness and had deteriorated quickly over the last week. He died in Vienna, Austria, and he was married and had 2 children, Lauren and Theo. Sport now, and there's going to be an unfamiliar side in the Champions League final at the weekend. For that and the rest of the day's sports news with Hugh Ferris, you can do this.
Say Alexa,
That was your BBC News. Check back at any time for an update.
Stop recording.